This is today's webinar, which is using Skoog in the context of autism, or with autistic young people, or older users. I'm just going to wait until exactly 1/2 to kick off with the content. Hopefully we'll have some people signing in today. The format of the session today is intended to be a question and answer session. We did a very good one a couple of weeks ago with Roy Tal from Israel and a couple of others, but I'm not sure if we've got anyone signed in today, but what I'll do is press on. What I'd like to start with is pointing out a couple of things. One is that we've created a tips sheet in collaboration with Dr. John Biddulph, who's an autism and music specialist. Now, I'm going to do a quick screen share and show you guys where you can get this. Where shall I go? Let's go here. I'll show you where you can get this tip sheet. So if you go into Google, and I'm going to just go to the Google search page like this, and then type in using Skoog with autistic kids. Actually, you know what the best thing to do? Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here. So the best thing would be to go to the Skoog Music blog, which is Dr. Sogler's Nuggets. Here we go. And you'll see there, actually, the most recent post is making music with autistic kids, advice and tips. This is what we're going to talk about today. And I will show you some specific items in relation to a case study we'll discuss using found sound. So there we go. So here, if you scroll down to the bottom and on the side there, scroll down to the bottom, you can see a link where you can download this tip sheet. There we go. Just enter your details and download it there. So that's the tip sheet. So where to start? Well, Skoog, one of the populations we worked with extensively in creating Skoog between 2006 and 2010 really were young people with autism in ASN special units. Just a quick, in case you are just signing in case you are new to this is a Skoog. Let's move it across here into shot. It's a musical instrument. It's a tactile USB device. You can see, look, it's soft, malleable object, and it just connects via USB to your computer and comes with its own bespoke software platform that supports a whole range of different music-making activities. In the context of working with young people with autism, I mean, it can be used in all kinds of ways. One of the mainstay ways that I've applied it myself and we developed it was in facilitating improvisation, and particularly sympathetic improvisation, and working, allowing and trying to support students to make their own music. And it's particularly good at that using pentatonic preset scales and allowing a freedom of expression by changing instruments, choosing different palettes of sound, working with backing tracks, all kinds of things. So I'm going to just crash on. So Skoog is this tactile device that really, I mean, one of the things that we find, or what did find in the research phase working with autism, was the unique connection made by the woodwind sound. So Skoog as an instrument is this software device, this sensor has its software, and then on the software you choose it to be an instrument like a flute or a violin or a guitar, and then you assign a note to each of these surfaces for that instrument to play. It has 5 surfaces, so it works with pentatonic scales very, very well, and in that sense can really support improvisation and all kinds of creative activity. Do just type into the group chat if you have any questions, or if you've activated the Q&A app. I can click that now. Let's prepare it. Let's open it. And you've got any questions, you should be able to type them into there as well. So yes, I was just recapping for those who haven't seen Skoog before. Skoog is a tactile musical instrument, comes with its own software platform, supports lots of different things. One of the specific things that I'm going to start with was the attraction of the tactile nature of the object. It's soft and squeezy, and this is found to be a really engaging format for a control device, particularly for making music. Being able to physically shape the sound with your hands or with a limb, or you can play the Skoog with any part of your body. Feet are incredibly expressive, and it really suits all kinds of different types of interaction. So the tactile nature is that idea of being able to get your hands on the sound and shape it. For example, if in my software I go to my Skoog and I turn on the twist tilt function, which is a great function in Skoog, and let's just show you here, and then I start playing, then I can really bend and twist and change the sound. And that's something that autistic young people find particularly engaging, that connection with the sound. And that's why I just wanted to, I'll talk about the examples that I've highlighted with John and with some of our own work a bit later. But using the woodwind is particularly useful. So let me just show you how that works in the software. I'm going to start a screen share so you can see what I'm doing in the software. Now, normally I would have I'm going to have a camera up as well. Just a second. I'm going to open my desktop camera just quickly under photo booth. There we go. And if I just pop that on my desktop, then we'll be able to see what I'm doing as well. So I'm going to start a screen share, and I'm going to show you how to load the woodwind sounds on brass, because there's something really human about the woodwind sounds. Now I need to quickly recalibrate my Skoog, because when I plugged it in, I didn't have it on its mount, which is on its mount so you can see it, a Skoog Music Mount Kit. So in order to recalibrate it, I'm going to unplug it like this quickly, and then I'm going to click up here the Reconnect Skoog USB button. There we go. Just going to get rid of some of these open windows to make it easier. And then now I'm going to plug that back in, click Reconnect, and we should see this ghosting on the blue disappear very shortly. There we go. So now I have my nice calibrated Skoog. Now, in order to choose instruments on the Skoog, you need to go to the Instrument Selection tab here, and this is where you choose instruments. Now, so we've got these woodwind instruments here. We've got a normal flute, we've got a wooden flute, we've got a sort of jazz flutter tongue flute, and we have a clarinet. Now these are found to be particularly useful. There's something about the breathy nature, and you can actually adjust the breathiness of these sounds in the advanced settings here. So if you click this tab with the cogwheel on it, which is the settings tab in Skoog 1.6.1, click here, and then in this additional expressive parameter that you have that has a manual control, we can control embouchure dynamically, which I'm going to talk about in a second as well. But here I can actually make the sound more or less breathy, and these are settings that we can save in the advanced settings tab. So this is somewhere where you want to get familiar with, and you can turn sides on and off and set it, customize it to suit an individual's particular needs, particular ways of playing it. But increasing the breathiness with autistic users is often really quite a useful device in terms of engagement. So the other thing that I wanted to do technically to show you was being able to make it polyphonic. So at the moment, it's going to play one note at a time. Okay, and in order to make it polyphonic, this button down here where it says mono poly, I just click that, and now you can see I'm getting 3 at a time. Not opposing sides, 3 in the same direction. Corners, great interaction points. And that's another thing with Skoog, is it's sensitive everywhere. So it's about facilitating the use by the individual, and really allowing a good deal of time for exploration. One of the things that Dr. John Bidoff points out in his tips sheet that is available from our blog was really supporting exploration. You know, leave your preconceptions of what music should be or what you think it should be at the door, and open yourself to exploring the unusual. Really explore the textures of sound, and this is by opening up these expressive parameters through turning on poly and turning on now the tilt twist function. So normally it's set here, so we're just blowing, but these buttons down here turn on the sensitivity to twisting and tilting the Skoog. and that's assigned to embouchure on the flute, for example, and different things for different instruments. But by going to the maximum setting here, what we have now is it's responding. So instead of just playing one note, it's playing, when I'm touching it in lots of places, it's playing, giving me several notes, and when I'm bending it, it's bending the sound. And this contingency between action and what's happening in the sound, this idea of shaping and molding the sound, is something that is incredibly gratifying and supportive, and it's just a really creative, engaging experience. And it does allow you to really explore the sounds, and allows the young people you're working with to really get inside them and in the sound and explore it, and lose themselves in that. And that's something that can be really creative and really successful. So I'm just going to go back to my Google window here quickly to check to see if we've got any questions. We've got one viewer. Hello, how are you doing? No questions have popped up just yet in my Q&A window, so I'm going to press on. The other things that we're going to look at, so I would really suggest using improvisation, and the other thing, as John Miller points out, is lead by example. Don't be scared to get involved yourself. Even if you only have one Skoog, that's fine. You can something that more than one person can play. It can be between you, and that's often a really nice way of working with using the Skoog as a point of triangulation between the two of you, something we can both play. Or if you have the luxury of having two, as John does, that's great, because you can play and the student can play, and you can see what each other's doing and copy by eye or follow hand over hand, and it's a level playing field. You're both doing the same. But do spend time with Skoog as yourself, as a musician or as a therapist or a teacher, so that you can show them. So it's not just them being expected to do something. Show them that you can do it too, and you want to do it too, and you can support them in how they play that as well. So that's a really good example. So by opening out the expressive kind of parameters, putting it on poly, expanding onto twist tilt, and then just using some simple backing tracks. Now I've downloaded from the Skoog website. I'm going to say, well, I'll probably say it more than once, but I'm just going to say it once just now. Resources, resources, resources. There are hundreds of resources on the Skoog music website. Links to songs, transcriptions for pop tunes, all kinds of stuff. And one of the places in the backing track section, you can download loops. These all come with instructions, and the key name is written on them. Let's, for example, try these ones. A minor, 103. Let's do the actual premix loops. So these are free from the Skoog website. I've dropped that in there. Let's get something with a beat. So this is a nice, easy groove. To make it loop, I need to click the loop button, and then go here into the note selection. And if I dial in A minor, as it says here on the file name, minor, it will also work with C major. But let's try this. And now, change the octave up a little bit. I'm free to improvise. So it's about exploring, listening, being creative. So that's one way of using it. But where we found a particular capacity to support creative exploration and improvisation, particularly with teenagers and people who are moving on a bit, is to enable them to improvise with the music that they enjoy. Now that can be anything really, and all you need to do is know what key it's in. Now on the Skoog website, go here. Oh no, that's my Google window. Let's pop that down there, just so it doesn't get too choppy. I need to pull up another window. No, not that one. Apologies. Let's get here. So I'm going to go back to Skoog homepage here, and I just want to show you something in our resources section. So this is an area called Top Tunes, and we have a limited number here. It was over 100. And if there's things there that you want that you don't see, email us, ask us. They're growing all the time. Again, check out the resources section. And resources for Skoog, if you scroll down to the bottom of our web page, in the footer of every web page, down here, it's the bit at the bottom, there we go, there's a resources section. Or you can go Skoog Music /resources. I'm going to go to top tunes here, and I'm going to go to pop tunes. Now, on this page, what you get is a link to the song on YouTube, so you don't have to have it to hand. Let's do Happy by Pharrell, okay? So if I click here, what it's telling me, it says select, so that I can download a notes pack and do color following and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not interested in that just now. What I want to do is facilitate someone just being able to improvise with a tune that they want, and I want to play along with this. So I'm going to, it says here, select C minor pentatonic scale to improvise. So I'm going to click the YouTube link to load that up. I'm going to bring back my Skoog software. Here it is. And all I need to do here, so here's my Skoog software. I need to go to my notes section. First of all, I'm just going to turn the sensitivity up a touch here using the sensitivity controls, plus and minus button. I'm going to go to my notes tab, select minor, C, pop it up an octave. Okay, so I'm ready to rock. And now once Pharrell is ready and buffered up, is he buffered up? What's going down? Yes, there's Skoog music, please. Hopefully this won't cut me off on our broadcast. I've had some problems with, I mean, I should probably bring this up in the YouTube app, but then I wouldn't be able to play along with it. But so what this allows me to do, I mean, it's a bit slow on this machine, so don't worry about that. So yes, just going to buffer this up. It allows me as an individual to then improvise or just to play with. So I've set it to the right key. And what Skoog's doing, as well as providing this intuitive object to play with, it's doing your music theory for you. So instead of having to know your scales, I've just dialed the right scale in. So now I have the right set of notes to play with, and I should just be able to improvise along with whatever's playing. Now hopefully, just let me go back to, let's go back to the window here and see if we can come back to a view where you can see not the strange, I'll bring it back. Still waiting for it to buffer through. Oh, here we go, I can hear it starting now. So hopefully it will. Yeah, so that's working. So I'm in the right key, and I'm just hopefully trying to. I don't want to capture. I just want to stop screen sharing. There we go. So yeah, so I'm free just to play around with a range of different movements. Let's skip that now. So I think that's a really, where's that YouTube page gone? There we go. I hate to stop you, Pharrell, but there you go. So that's a really useful thing. Very easy to support. Just, you know, we've got resources on our page, or you can use a website like eChords, e-chords.com. That has lots of tunes. It has it's a guitar tab site, but it has the keys of the tunes listed as well. So supporting that kind of free expression, improvisation, exploration of sound, ever so important. And leading on from that, I think one of the things that we experienced when we were doing the research phase of Skoog was, you know, we were lucky enough to be able to spend lots of time one-to-one with students. And when we were working with autistic students, we would have a room set up and we had our Skoogs and everything. And really there was very little chat. The teachers would bring the students in and we'd be able to just spend time with them. Now, is that? Yeah, I'm coming through, aren't I? Yeah, I'm getting a bit of sound. So they would bring the students in, and it would be about just playing with the Skoog, exploring sounds, or we would have Skoogs too, and we'd explore the sounds together. And it was that really kind of grassroots improvisation. So it often sounds quite avant-garde and pretty crazy, and you would often get teachers walking past. and you could see they would stop outside, and their faces were like, "Whoa, what is that crazy sound?" But they'd been stopped, caught by it, and they would pause for a while. And then once they spent a bit of time seeing what the students were doing, seeing how they were interacting with us, they were transfixed, and they'd often stay into the session and be like, "Oh, I didn't realise that Tony could do that," and she's really really musical. And it's like, well, everyone's musical. It's just about finding ways to unlock and support that. So it's that idea of listening, being part of the narrative. You've got to be part of the narrative. You've got to support that and go with the students, support them in the explorations they want to do. Now, it may sound crazy and it may be pretty wild at times, but if you go with them, it will be a journey, and you'll get somewhere, and you will allow them to reach the place they need to get to. One really useful thing you can do as Skoog is in terms of working with more environmental sounds, and you can do things like taking a sound for a walk, whereas if you have a small MP3 recorder or some kind of recorder, then you can go around your environment, go around the student's environment, and they can record sounds as they move, or just letting the recording run. So you have walking through the school, or going around our classroom, or going out to playground, or whatever it is you want to do, and then you take that recording and use it as the backing track. And so it's a good way of familiarizing with environmental sounds, desensitizing, working with sounds that perhaps are sometimes threatening or scary, or they get oversensitive to. You can bring those into a creative context of play like that by using them as a backing, and you can soften them. You can bring that volume down. You can bring them, introduce these things gradually. So that's all, really great ideas and ways of doing that. Again, these tips are all accessible from our blog on the top 10 tips for Skoog success in the most recent blog post, or if you search autistic kids and Skoog, you will see that in Google as well. The thing that I would like to talk about, so improvisation, great. Allow students to explore, let them take it to the limits, and record what they're doing. Use the record button in Skoog to allow them to reflect and listen back. I mean, that's another thing that John Biddulph says, try listening to some music by autistic music. There's a lot of stuff out there. It's great. It can give you an idea if you're not used to working in this area of how things can go, and it's great to get familiar with that. And great to adapt, your sharing opportunities in that way. The other thing that I wanted to chat about is an example that's in one of our case studies, and that's a chap working with, it was Ewan, actually, Ewan Watson. Yes, Ewan Watson. He was doing his honours degree in community music, and he was working with Skoog at Sense Scotland, which is a centre for people with disabilities, and he was doing Skoog work and music and doing these workshops, and it was fantastic. He's a great practitioner. He works around Inverness and up north in Scotland, so if you can access his talents, and great facilitator, great musician. But he was working with a group, and there was one student in particular who he couldn't get him to engage. Normally Skoog is such a tactile, experiential object. It doesn't require a great deal of presentation or facilitation. It's just, often people are drawn to it, and they will play it and they will use it. But he was having real issues in terms of getting this young man involved, and the young man in question was really more interested in playing with the door handles and latches, and so Ewan took note of this, and he thought, well, let's use that. So before the next session, what he did was record the sound of the door handle, and this young chap had been really playing with it. And if you listen to these types of behaviours, there's often really fine level variation in them. It's not just a repeated behaviour. They're exploring often the sound and creating a context, an audio context, a soundscape, if you will, in which they're happy and they can control the stimulation, and they're in control of their environment in that way. So he took that recording of the sound, and then he used that in the sampling set of Skoog, which we'll have a look at, and we'll explore how to do this next as the next part of the webinar. To take a sound of special interest, a sound that is particularly engaging for a young person, and then to use that to draw them into interaction with the Skoog instrument, and then expand that into musical performance and play and creative improvisation. So he took that sound, and then in the next session he was able to show the young man that when he touched it, it made the door handle sound, and the young man would play the door handle. play the Skoog. I'm like, oh, okay. And you could see the connection beginning to be made. And initially, he didn't pitch the sound. He merely just had sound of the handle on the sides and allowed the young man to touch it, play it, familiarize himself. And then next time, he started pitching it, introducing different kind of tonal elements. And then after that, he was starting to explore instruments. Once he got him engaged with the Skoog, he was then able to open out the options, bring in musical kind of context, and really fly. And by the end of it, he was doing all kinds of stuff. I think he even recorded a couple of pieces of music. Now, you can access this case study at the Skoog website under the case studies section, skoogmusic.com, case studies. It's the Centre Scotland's case study, Centre Scotland one, by Ewan Watson. So I'm going to show you now, I'm going to switch back to screen sharing and show you how you can use the sampler in this way. So we already talked about opening out the expressive parameters on the Skoog and using software to do that, and really trying to support different ways of using it and letting them get deep into the sound. So I'm going to start this screen share now. I'm up here, share my desktop. I'm just going to pop this window to the side so we don't end up with that craziness. Look at that. So here's my Skoog software. Now, in order to record a sound or to get a sound into the sampler, let's find the sampling part of my Skoog software. That's choosing notes, that's following coloured scores. Again, actually following the built-in coloured scores for some autistic young people, that's a really great exercise they can do on their own, something they can follow through to completion themselves, something they can manage, and it's self-paced as well, which is another important thing, that unlike Guitar Hero that can run away from you, this is something where you're in control. But moving on, settings, we went there to talk about changing the breathiness of the woodwind, say, and giving more breath, which is something that's particularly responsive. Instruments. And this one with the microphone, this is the sampling tab. So if I click here, now you can see it's a very simple layout. We have a different coloured buffer for each of the surfaces. And what that means is I can put a different sound on each of these sides and control it using my Skoog. And there's two ways I can get sounds into my Skoog. Let's just very quickly have a look at my samples. Now these are short sections of sound. I've downloaded them from the Skoog Music website, and in order to, one way of getting sounds on is to drag the sound files. Now if you have existing sound files, phonemes are great. You can start creating words and exploring language, but let's just stick a frog on the yellow. There we go, and I just literally drag it to the place that I want, and then there we go, we have a frog on the yellow. Easy as that, and I can load a different one on each one. But what we were talking about is recording into the Skoog software. So let's clear this. There we go, using the clear samples buffer button. And now this here is a record button. Now, in order to make sure that I'm recording, let's actually, I'm going to break my software quickly. I'm going to say input device. Let's do that. Now I think this shouldn't work now. So if I click record on my yellow, oh, I've got everything routed funny. I wanted to try and break it, but if you record and you don't get the WAV file like this, okay, I'm going to switch it back to taking in bulb microphone because that will give us a better quality. And what you do is, if you're not getting the recording coming up in the window, all you do is simply go up here to your settings, go select audio, and there'll be an input device, input source section. It may look like, maybe it might say input driver, various things. But essentially, in the input section, there'll be a list, a limited list of options. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. You may have more, you may have less, and it is literally about, you know, going through and trying different options until it works. Make sure you actually have a microphone. Most laptops now and desktops have a built-in condenser mic for doing Skype and stuff. It should pick that up by default. If it doesn't, go to this menu, try some other options. I can't tell you what the options should be for your machine, particularly if you're a Windows user. It will depend on the sound card that you're using. But one of the options should work, okay? So that's just a quick technical how-to there. So I'm going to clear this again, and I'm going to record, let's do something mechanical, let's do tape. So I'm going to record tape. There we go. Ooh, look at that. So now we've got our, if I press this, oh, that's a great sound. Right. So we've got this strange sort of mechanical, not necessarily musical sound in there, but that's particularly percussive. I like it. So I don't want the space at the beginning. So if I take my mouse and drag it over the section of sound that I want, and that's it. And I can check I've got the right section now by playing it, by touching it. I think I'll just get rid of the bit at the beginning. I just want that main rip. I'm going to trim it a little bit more. I just want that. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And now I can use the trim button here. Trim to current selection. Boom. There we go. That's awesome. Now, oh, I've made a bit of mistake. We're going to start this again. No, actually, no, we'll do a workaround, because normally if you're wanting to use a single sound like this, like a door handle or a mechanical sound, you would want to record it into the red window. But I've recorded it into the yellow one. So if I now save this set of samples to my desktop, I'm going to call it yellow. To remind me, let's put it on the desktop. I call it yellow. Save. Clear these. I then go to my desktop. This is not, normally you would just record into the red here, like that, and then copy to all, and as you can see I would end up with that everywhere. But because I'm particularly keen on that tape sound, we go back here. I'm going to look for the yellow folder, there it is, and I'm going to drag the yellow one up here. There we go, I've got my little sound back. Now I say copy to all. Boom, there we go. So now I have that, sounds like kind of a Buck Rogers phaser or something. And so now I can set it, and I can change my way of interacting. If I go here, I can turn it to press and hold. So now that might be quite useful in terms of, so you might start off with it on trigger. So whenever the tree touches, they're going to get the sound. And if you move to press and hold, they actually have to keep touching it. So to get the sound that they want, they have to keep the interaction at a higher level. So that could be a good way of advancing the engagement. And now I might want to start pitching it. So I can either pitch it manually, so going up and down semitones, here, but what I would advise doing, I like to zero, is using this button here, follow keyboard tab, and use it, and then whatever you have set here, it will follow. So now I have a minor. Let's go up an octave. And actually, if I, with a sound like this, I'm going to take a bit more space. Yeah, that's cool. So now I've got a pentatonic spacing. Now it says C minor here, but the way that it pitches the sound is relative to what goes in. So you can tune it using the sliders. Yeah. Okay, I quite like that, but it will be a pentatonic spacing, so it's something that you can play with other music with. So now we're in here, and that means that we could play along with something. Let's try this. I won't press and hold there, so I'm getting those tones. I'm going to try it now in the third mode of sampling, which is scrubbing. Now this is a more expressive control. It works better with some sounds than others, so I don't know what it's going to do with sound. I've never tried this before, but let's have a go. It's pretty cool. So again, creative exploration now. I'm actually going to try, let's try going into the minor. Let's go A. Set these. So it's pretty wild, but that's taking, you know, a simple environmental sound, going through some steps and supporting someone using it the way they want to. So I'm going to pause there. We've had half an hour now of this focus webinar. So I'm going to just simply direct you back to, let's see if I can get the, I always have problems with this. Can I, hello? With this. What is it that I click, that I need to click to get back to my screen? Does anyone know? Oh, there we go. On the screen. Now, I seem to have lost my menu bar. Bear with me, I have a spinning wheel of, oh, there we go. So let's try that. Will that pull it back? Oh, this one. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Opening cameraman. Ooh, I just want my, I don't know what this app is. It's very interesting. So, I sort of bring things together now. So, you know, I've looked at a couple of different functions. I'm not sure whether this is working. I really just want to be myself. I don't want to screen share, no. Close. Let's try and get back to Skoog here. Well, we seem to have lost picture. I'll try and get that back. Oh dear. Well, we'll go with audio to finish with then. And let's put my camera on. So back to there. Fine. Sorry about that. Oh, wait a minute. I've got some questions here. Oh no, cameraman. That's something different. So we've had a look at expanding the expressive range of the Skoog, exploring improvisation, supporting that by turning on the twist tilt mode and exploring the expressive parameters in the settings page. We've also had a look at how we can use environmental sounds to support and facilitate interaction, particularly with hard to reach young people who may be focused within particular auditory context, with mechanical sounds or other recorded or other digital sounds. We can use those to support and invite interaction with Skoog as the instrument to do that by putting these different sounds on and allowing them to be manipulated in different ways, either by triggering, by press and hold, by continuation, or by using the scrubbing function to get really creative with the sounds. I would definitely advise having a look at Dr. John's website. If you go to my blog, Dr. Shogler's Nuggets, you will be able to see links to a top tips sheet, which has got some really good uses. Or if you want to check out some of the case studies, go to our case studies section. I don't know if there have been any. No, there have not been any questions up in the Q&A. So on that note, if you've got any questions about particular applications, don't be shy of emailing us. Skoog is what we've been doing for many years now, and working a lot, particularly in the field of autism. And there's lots of different ways you can use it, but particularly I found that supporting improvisation and particularly using some of these woodwind sounds that have the breathy human quality to them. There's something about that connection between squeezing and blowing, allowing that facilitation to take place, which is really important. Don't impose your own musical in terms of idealism or what you think the music should be. Let them lead. There's so much music in these students, and it's just about trying to support it and let it out, and it can be very quiet or loud or whatever it needs to be, but go with them on that journey. Be part of the narrative. That's key, and listen. And it's one thing I've always told all my students in terms of teaching in music as well, is listen to what the other people are playing and respond to it. Show them that you're listening with what you're playing. So do check out the top tips. be prepared to explore. If you have any other technical queries, check out our tutorial videos. There's a bunch of those online on our website. Go down to the footer in the resources, tutorial videos. If you have any questions about how to use, say, the sampling function, and try using some different sounds. Try creating some of these different soundscapes, or try taking the sound for a walk. Another tip from John Biddulph, go out with a recorder, record a journey within the environment with environmental sounds in a narrative sequence, and then use that as the backing track by dragging it into the backing track player in Skoog, and then allowing the student to reflect on that journey and to play into it and record that interaction, and then use that to build on. There may well you find particular sections that you can pull out and start to use as backing and to evolve in terms of composition. So it's been great chatting to you. I would again, if sorry, just another tip here. If you're finding it difficult to get the students to, say, interact with a Skoog, if maybe they won't come to you, possibly they're in a quite mobile environment, or they stay in an opposite corner, then try just placing a Skoog equidistant between you and the student. I don't know. I often work in the sports halls or the dining rooms because we're going, because that's the only free room in the schools when we're coming in doing sessions, and because we're working with different sizes of groups. But try placing the Skoog halfway between you, and then walking away, giving a little space. And that's another key thing, is leave space. And it's not just a beat space in terms of whatever it is you're doing. It's really give them the space they need. That can be temporary and physically. Walk away and then give it a little, and then come back and give it a little. Have a little play, and then go away again. And see if you can invite them. And if you see them starting to make a move of it, don't go. Give them the space to go and explore it on their own. You can always tweak things in the software, change things, and surprise them with different sounds. And that's often a tactic I found. One of the best ways to invite the interaction with the Skoog for some people is for you to back off, and to give them the space, not just the musical space, but the physical space as well. So that's another good tip. Other than that, we're always here, we're always available. Email us at info@skoogmusic.com, or you can email me directly, ben@skoogmusic.com. A little note to the international scene: we're going to be in Singapore later this week at the Enabled event, which is a celebration of accessible music technology, really celebrating the We Can All Play Music agenda. And we need to support that. So check it out. I think there'll be a lot of coverage in terms of web chats, some live video. If you can get to Singapore or you're going to be there, please, please, please do come along and say hello. We're going to be doing talks, there's performances, there's bands from Singapore, there's Phil Healy, Doug Bott, Charlotte White, Tim Swingler, myself, who else? Ben Glass is there doing an amazing performance with video link up, and he's got kind of a sort of interactive thing with Even Glennie, all kinds of great stuff, and we'll be there to answer your questions. So if you are lucky enough to be in Singapore later this week, I look forward to seeing you. Please do get in touch with any questions, any support you need. Try and do check out our resources. We don't shout about them enough, and it's only recently when doing different tours where some people have stopped me and said, you really should, let people know about the resources. And I always thought, people naturally would find them, but there's backing tracks, there's lesson plans, activity plans, there's all kinds of different support materials, from the very simplest help sheets to tips on engaging in improvisation or learning traditional score with Skoog. Some great videos that we've made live today. We'll be doing a blog post on supporting transitioning from the coloured Skoog scores into more traditional notation, if that's what you want to do. The thing we started off looking at was improvising with popular tunes via YouTube links in the top tunes section of our website. And I would say, if you're not a music therapist or you're not a practicing musician and you're looking for a way of supporting your students in getting into music using Skoog, particularly autistic students, then this is a great place to start. Get them selecting something that they want to play with, and then just support them and set them free. Okay, well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to the next time. But for now, that's all from Skoog Music. See you around.